Good morning. I'm Bob Davis, General Manager of the Steamship Authority. And to get our commissioning ceremony started, I'd like to invite up Sarah B. Sneed to the podium to sing America the Beautiful. Sarah?
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed your light on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Sarah. Again, good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Isn't it great to have the Oak Bluffs Terminal open again? Yes. It's a sure sign of a strong vineyard summer is right around the corner. The commissioning ceremony for the MV Aquinnah represents a milestone moment for the Steamship Authority, as well as the islands of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. We're excited to celebrate it. On behalf of our board and Port Council, we're very thankful to have you all here with us today. I'd like to take a moment to recognize first our board members, James Malcolm, who represents Dukes County, Peter Jeffrey, who represents Falmouth, Maura Tierney, who represents New Bedford. Robert Ranney was unable to make it over today from Nantucket. And we have Bob Jones representing Barnstable. I'd also like to recognize our Port Council. Nat Lowell is the Nantucket representative. He also could not make it over today. Gordon Carr is delayed. He will be here shortly. Greg Egan, who represents Barnstable, he's in attendance. I'm trying to see him. Oh, he's in the back. John Cahill represents Tisbury. He's in the front row. Eric DeWicki, representing Fairhaven. He has not arrived yet, or at least I haven't seen him yet. Rob Munier from Falmouth wasn't able to make it over today. And last but not least is Joe Solito, who's the Oak Bluffs representative. I'd like to also recognize a couple of public officials who are with us today. We have former board member Mark Hanover from the Dukes County is in attendance, as well as Bob Murphy, who is a former member of the Financial Advisory Board of the Steamship Authority prior to the creation of the Port Council. Deborah Potter was supposed to be here. I don't know whether in the back. Okay. Mark Leonard from the Oak Bluffs Select Board. Tom Murphy from the Aquinnah Select Board, and Christina Calaruso from the Tisbury Select Board. And I apologize if I missed any officials that are in attendance today, and again, your presence is welcome. Now I'd like to invite the Dukes County Sheriff's Office, Honor Guard, to perform the posting of the colors, to be followed by the singing of the national anthem by Sarah Sneed. I ask that you all please rise for the posting of the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. And the honor guard may stand at rest. Next, I'd like to invite up Chief Ryan Mallinson of the Wampanoag Tribe of Aquinnah to the podium for our invocation. Chief Mallinson.
As I always ask my tribal members to just take a moment of silence to clear your mind. When the settlers first sort of bumped into our home of Novi, they were the first visitors here from a foreign land. Over the years, they populated our home, and we cohabitated with them. And through the centuries and time, we became one with the island and the new people that came. As a child, I remember coming down here. It was always eventful in the summer to see the boats coming in, going out. Anytime that I was gone over to the mainland, that ride home always brought us and my people back home to our island. So on this day, we ask the Great Spirit to be with us. To watch over my people, our island people, those that visit us with this new vessel, or as in our language, our mashoon, bringing our people home and always to be with us on those crossings. Hope.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite up James Malcolm, who is the Dukes County representative, to our board for a few comments. Jim.
I always have to lower the microphone. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. As we say here, proud to be in OB, and also proud to be from Martha's Vineyard, where we celebrate our maritime traditions, and we value, and it's in our various town warrants, and it's referred to in our town memoranda. We value our commercial fishing industry, our maritime heritage, and our working waterfronts. So, as part of the commissioning ceremony for the vessel, the Steamship Authority recognizes we are standing on the land that's the ancestral land of the Wampanoag people, who lived on this island, Nuepe, and traversed its surrounding waters for 13,000 years, and who still reside here and cherish these lands and waters. And with this acknowledgement, we wish, and I wish, to celebrate the Wampanoag culture, creativity, perspective, and to honor their perseverance and their resiliency. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today. We welcome the newest addition to the Steamship Authority fleet, the MV Aquinnah. And with today's ceremony, the vessel joins the MV Barnstable and soon the MV Monomoy in providing a strengthened lifeline with 3 freight vessels with identical parts, handling characteristics, and loading configurations. These vessels will provide a cost-effective and dependable solution to bridge the gap between now and the next generation of ferries. And given their similar design, it'll be much easier to maintain and repair these vessels and interchange them on different routes. And from Martha's Vineyard, I look forward with you with hope and enthusiasm to the continuation of reliable ferry service and focused customer service between our island and the mainland. This is one of the many projects that the Steamship Authority is undertaking to improve and enhance service and to maintain faith and trust in the authority. The Steamship Authority and its board and port council and its management are aware of Islanders' concerns and is moving forward with initiatives, including a new reservation system and improved communication protocols. Additionally, the Steamship Authority is a regular presence at Martha's Vineyard job fairs, working with the Chamber of Commerce, the high school, ACE MV, that's Adult Continuing Education, for those of you who haven't followed that, to recruit local people into the Steamship Authority's organization. And I also want to share with you briefly a bit of a letter that I received this week from a multi-generational islander and maritime professional who wrote, "That new freight boat, Barnstable, was plowing back and forth across Vineyard Sound. Here are my comments on its performance from a sailor's point of view. Compared to the old freight boats, the Barnstable appears to have much less wake, is quieter, and its turning motions at the ferry dock are quicker, and it generates much less noise than the old boats." So as the board representative of the community this vessel is named after, the Aquinnah, I am grateful for the Wampanoag tribe of Gayhead, its legacy and presence for time immemorial on Martha's Vineyard, and the ancestral lands in Aquinnah. I'd also like to recognize quickly my high school friends, the Wittes family, Gladys Wittes and her sons and daughter, who worked to change the town name of Gayhead to Aquinnah. The SSA looks forward, and I look forward, to highlighting important Wampanoag history on board the vessel. And briefly, I also want to offer my sincere gratitude to the men and the women who keep the Steamship Authority running 365 days every year. Parking lot attendants, ticket agents, licensed deck officers. Running a ferry service is not easy. Trust me, you can read my emails if you'd like. These dedicated employees are at work day in and day out, addressing the demands of clients on the front lines, regardless of weather and other circumstances, impatience occasionally. So thank you to the staff of the Steamship Authority. And may the crew and the passengers who sail upon the MV Aquinnah across Vineyard Sound, guided by the lighthouses of East Chop and West Chop, only experience calm seas and safe and reliable passage. Again, thank you for joining us today at this occasion.
All right. Thank you, Jim, for those comments. I also would like to recognize the Wampanoag tribe of Gayhead, whose ancestral land of more than 13,000 years, Aquinnah, is proudly emblazoned upon the quarterboards of the vessel. We sincerely hope that those who travel on this vessel, now and in the future, will be inspired to learn more about the Wampanoag history and how Noape, which today we call Martha's Vineyard, came to be. This rich history is powerful, enduring, and important. It also took a lot more than a seasoned captain and a dedicated crew and talented shipyard workers to ensure that the MV Aquinnah made its journey from the Gulf Coast to Oak Bluffs today to begin her new life as a Steamship Authority ferry. Today is the culmination of the determination and hard work of many people from Chilmark to Capitol Hill. Please join me in recognizing and thanking Congressman Bill Keating, who unfortunately could not make it here today. We do have a message from him that we'll play later. And the late Tom Cahere, who was administrator to the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority. Bill and Tom were instrumental in securing federal funding that was used to retrofit not only the Aquinnah, but her sister ship, the Barnstable. The MV Barnstable was commissioned back in December and made her first appearance on the Vineyard Run earlier this month. An additional sister ship, the MV Monomoy, will be joining the Steamship Authority fleet later this year. And although no direct federal funding was allocated to this vessel's retrofit, it certainly benefited from the others receiving that funding. I must also express my sincere gratitude to the Steamship Authority Board for approving the purchases back in 2022. Let me share with you how we arrived at this point today. Over the past several years, and certainly from the COVID pandemic, the populations of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket have grown, requiring modern, reliable freight vessels to serve the expanding need of the islands year-round. While the Steamship Authority is working towards a future of vessels powered by alternative energy sources, we are a few years away from realizing the goal for our next newly constructed vessel. In the meantime, the opportunity presented itself 3 years ago in the form of 3 offshore supply vessels, or OSVs, that had previously served the oil and Gulf industry down on the Gulf Coast. The 3 sister ships were being offered for sale by Hornbeck Offshore Services in Louisiana. As it turned out, they were perfectly suited, with some adjustments, to meet our needs on the Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket routes. Not only do these vessels represent the most efficient, cost-effective, and rapid path to upgrade the fleet and meet the vehicle and freight transportation needs of the island, but their similar design was a huge selling point for us. The identical design of the vessels provides economies of scale through interchangeability of the vessels as service needs change, inventory of spare parts, and crew training. As I said before, and I'll say again, it was a good deal. I also want to recognize Olivia Weiser, who was one of 145 people who submitted the MV Aquinnah as a suggestion in our Name the Ferry contest back in 2022. She was the lucky winner of the naming contest for this vessel, and although she's not able to be here today, we look forward to bringing her on board the vessels for a behind-the-scenes tour over the summer. And we thank her, as well as all the other 144 individuals, for this very fine suggestion of a name. May the MV Aquinnah sail the waters of Vineyard and Nantucket Sound safely and dependable for years, and join the long roster of iconic and beloved vessels that have served the Steamship Authority since 1960. Again, thank you for joining us today. I'd like to have Jim step up to the podium again.
Thank you. It's tough being short. On behalf of the board of the Woods Hole, Martha's Vineyard, and Nantucket Steamship Authority, it is hereby ordered that the motor vessel Aquinnah be commissioned and placed in service for the purpose of providing transportation of persons and necessaries of life for the islands of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket.
I ask that the captain of the MV Aquinnah please raise the American flag on the vessel. It's my privilege as general manager and honor to instruct the captain of the MV Aquinnah to set the watch and bring the vessel to life. As I mentioned earlier, Congressman Keating had planned on coming, but activities in Washington required his attendance there. He's been a longtime supporter and partner of the Steamship Authority, and although he could not be here with us, he did send a video greeting for our event, which we'll play now.
Today we celebrate the commissioning of the Aquinnah, but we wouldn't be here today without the great partnership that I shared with Tom Cahere. From the designation of the federally certified commuter service that we initiated, then to monies from the American Rescue Plan, then to the Cape Cod Regional Transportation Authority, and finally, monies to the Steamship Authority, Tom was indispensable. I also want to acknowledge the work of Bob Davis and Christy Senatori and Steve Tupper for the vital studies that prove that the Nantucket route is indeed a commuter line. Everyone here knows that the Steamship Authority and its vessels are the lifelines of the islands. With the purchases of the Woods Hole and the Island Home and the addition of Barnstable and Monomoy and the Aquinnah to replace the Steamship Authority's aging fleet of freight vessels, we've made a commitment to ensure reliable, safe transit of passengers and goods to both islands for many years to come. These investments are the result of the partnership between the Steamship Authority, the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority, and the Federal Transit Administration. Recently, I included language in the Water Resources Development Act that will provide a dedicated source of funding for harbor improvements in the ports that the Steamship Authority will utilize in the future. This federal funding, as well as others that we've been working on, along with the creative approaches of our local leaders and stakeholders, this will all lead to real improvements in the lives of all who live and visit here. This and the $5 million we annually continue getting to improve this service is all part of Tom's great legacy.
I would now like to ask State Representative Thomas Moakley to step forward. Tom is a new member of the Cape and Islands Legislative Delegation and has already had been a strong advocate for us in our ridership on Beacon Hill. Representative Moakley.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Is this an appropriate event to say ahoy at? Because I don't know how often I would have that opportunity. I want to thank General Manager Bob Davis, the members of the Board of Governors, the Port Council members, and the dedicated staff of the Steamship Authority for your hard work, persistence, and vision in bringing the MV Aquinnah to fruition, which we now see beautifully moored on a nice calm day here in Oak Bluffs today. Also want to thank the chief for being here, as well as the chairwoman, who I just saw at the State House yesterday, so for their wonderful partnership as well. It's an honor to be here marking the commissioning of the motor vessel Aquinnah, the newest addition to the Steamship Authority's freight fleet. This vessel is a response to the evolving and increasing needs of the island and reinforces the steamship's essential role in providing reliable and consistent service for the islanders. Among the many partnerships that both Bob and Congressman Keating listed, the state legislature and the state have also been a partner in helping to bring this project to fruition. Although I have to admit that as a new member, previous legislative action I can't exactly take credit for. I have to recognize the work of Senator Julian Sear and former Representative, now Senator Dylan Fernandez, in their work in supporting the mission of the steamship and island commuters as well. It's part of an expanded fleet that will be better equipped to serve residents, visitors, and local businesses. And I have to recognize their years of advocacy on behalf of the region, because now I have the privilege of stepping up to take on that responsibility for Martha's Vineyard. And having grown up just on the other side of Vineyard Sound, and having used ferry services to commute daily to work here on the island in my former position, I understand the importance of attention and investment in transportation to the region, and our legislature has your back. I also want to add, just like Mr. Malkin did, a special thanks to the workers who make it possible, the engineers, the designers who I had the opportunity to talk to on the ride over, the shoreside workers, the captains, the crew, the emergency personnel, and the port communities that we see represented here as well. Thank you for all you do to make this steamship work day in and day out. Really looking forward to the future. You know, this marks simultaneously the culmination of years of effort of so many people who are here today, as well as a new chapter to look forward to for Islanders and the steamship. So thank you, and my best to the Aquinnah herself and its crew. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Cheryl Andrews Matthias to speak. Cheryl is the chairwoman of the Wampanoag tribe of Aquinnah and has been a welcome partner in helping us prepare for this ceremony. Cheryl?
Thank you and good morning. Thanks. Thank you so much, Bob and Jim, for including us in this ceremony. It's really important because, as it has been mentioned, in 1960, when the Commonwealth enacted the charter of the Steamship Authority, and it was to provide adequate, transportation for persons and necessities of life for the island of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. It became our lifeline. And as been noted, our people, the Wampanoag people from Aquinnah, have been here since time immemorial, and they've documented us for over 13,000 years. Our way of transportation from the mainland to here was always in canoe, or what we call mashoon. And these have become our new mashoons to get us back and forth. The Steamship Authority has provided us with not only our transportation for us to keep connected with our family members, both on the mainland and off, but also for this island community to be able to get our medical attention when we need to be able to stay connected to your extended families, to go and do other things that are on the mainland that people just don't really understand the challenge that it can be living on an island. And by having reliable transportation that the Steamship Authority provides is always something that we not only need to rely on, but we look forward to as well. I can remember a time in my life, growing up on the mainland, that we would leave my house in Dartmouth well before dawn, just to be on the first boat that would come back and forth, long before reservations, long before the rest of it. You rolled up, you got on the boat, you rolled here, and you hopefully got a boat back. The captains and this crew of the boats back then, and even now, so intrepid. No matter what the weather was, they would get you back and forth from the island to the mainland safely to ensure that everybody was home with their families and their friends and their loved ones, despite whatever might be thrown ahead of them. But now we have a different system. We have a system where the island is so popular that people come to visit us from all over the world. It put a strain on this system in our lifeline. However, the Steamship Authority has risen to the occasion by continuously adding new ships and new vessels, new crew, and expanding their services. The workhorses that we have is what we call them, the freight ferries and the island ferries that actually are there for us to use as our lifeline, are ones that are really appreciated. Most of us islanders, we very rarely get out of our cars to see how beautiful the ships are. But these workhorse ships, and particularly the Aquinnah, which also is our name, is very special and very special to us. Adding these ships and alleviating the restrictions and working with the tribal community, working with the island community, working with the mainland and the tourism industry has really elevated their presence and our need. And I can't be happier for the partnership that we've been developing over the years to help ensure that all of our peoples get back and forth. We're happy about the rededication to the mission to provide that reliable service to the island residents. And this is a promising future for all of us. And I'd like to also thank the long-standing and long-serving community members that have been serving on this boat, from the management to the crew to everyone who has made this system work for us, because it is a system. And it's surprising how many people don't realize that when we say you're coming to Martha's Vineyard, that they're coming to an actual island. They figure that they can drive there until they get to the steamship, and then they realize they need a ticket and a reservation. So that's always fun. But in the end, the MV Aquinnah, or the motor vessel Aquinnah, will carry on our name and our connections not only to the island and the community, but also as an integral part of the transportation network that keeps us connected in our lifeline to the mainland. Thank you again for having us.
Thank you. I'd now like to welcome Benita Washington to speak. Benita is the Historic Preservation Officer for the tribe, and as Jim mentioned earlier, we look forward to working with her to develop an informational display on board the MV Aquinnah regarding the long history of the Wampanoag people in the islands. Benita.
Just the right height. Waniki Suck, Natussawees, Bettina, Melanson, Washington. Good day. I am called Bettina. You'll notice I didn't say my name is. I am called. So you immediately know there's a relationship. Someone knows me. The relationship that the Wampanoag people have with the water. It's where we got our sustenance. It's where we traveled to go see our relatives on what we call the mainland, because Marshall led us here, and as he did so, he dragged his foot and created Nantucket and Vineyard Sound and separated us. But as usual, once you get something you want, you decide, oh, there's a little problem. Now we can't get back there. So we machineed back and forth. And after a while, folks said, maybe we should have a bridge. So they asked Marshall to create a bridge off the cliffs. So he started. He's about halfway through, and this crab comes. And he's like, oh, I'm hungry. And Marshall's toe looks good. So he grabbed it. Marshall dropped the rocks, flung the crab, and that was the end of the bridge. Let's keep that in mind. My favorite memory, probably, of when the Hukalea came is when we created the Mashroom, something that had probably not been done here for 200, 300 years. And in the paper, I don't know if you all remember, there's a picture of our men in the Mashroom with the ferry behind them. And what that said to me is the times may move forward, the technologies may change, but we are still traveling on these waters. We have tribal members, tribal family members who have worked and work on these boats, from captain down to the guys who helped me not run into the side of the boat. I myself, born and raised here, but now I live south of Boston. And I remember, as the chairwoman says, you go down to the boat, you get on. Unless it was Labor Day weekend, yeah. Then all bets were off. But I work for the tribe, which means I come here. I depend upon the boat to get me to work and then back to home. So whichever way I'm going home. And everyone who loves this island, whether you're tribal, non-tribal, we are so used to not when does the train come, not when does the bus come. I'm not calling a cab. When does that boat leave? 'Cause I got to get on that boat. When I was coming home from college one time, taking the bus, get into South Station, take the bus down. We were coming around that big corner right before the dome. And the sea breeze came through the bus window. And that tang of the ocean hit my face. And it traveled all the way down to the very center of my being. And all I wanted to do was get to the island. And I realized I could run right off the edge of that dock. That's how bad I wanted to get home. And I'd never seen such a welcome sight as that boat, knowing it was going to get me to the island. And I know I'm not alone in that feeling. For us, it's 13,000 years or more. But there's some folks who come here just once and feel that same thing. We are so appreciative of the Steamship Authority. People have been coming by boat to the cliffs directly at one point, and now, today, with the two ports. We have a relationship. They help all our tribal members, non-tribal members alike. Sometimes it's happy, and sometimes it's like, no, we need to get to medical help. We are fortunate to the men and women who serve on these vessels. And we look forward to working with the Steamship Authority, and we wish them well to serve this island safely and bring us all home. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to ask Don Alley to say a few words. Dion is the chair of the Oak Bluffs Select Board, and we're happy to have him here as a representative at today's ceremony. Dion.
Bettina, it's nice to meet you. So it's always hard to follow that, so I'm not going to try. But I would like to thank our Oak Bluffs representatives, Tom Hallahan, Select Board, Mark Leonard, Select Board, our Town Administrator, Deb Potter, our Fire Chief, Chief Foster, our fire trucks, our fire boat for contributing to this. I would also like to thank our Chief Searle and our Police Department for also making this day possible. As Bettina was saying, I'm an islander. I grew up here. I remember when I'd be a kid in the water asking you to throw a coin, right? So islanders here know what that is, right? From there, I can remember I was talking to Mr. Davis back in the 70s when the Islander hit the rock, came back into port, shoved all the mattresses in it to try to stop the leaking. We put one of the pumper engines on the boat and we pumped it out until somebody from Fairhaven could come and repair it enough to be able to get it to Fairhaven. So there's been a long history between Oak Bluffs and the Steamship Authority. I think everybody who's here from the island, from Oak Bluffs, has a story to tell, remembers something about it. Labor Day, we would come down as a family, would park over there by the jetties and wave to everybody. Right? That's the way it used to be. At Labor Day, everybody left. Right? Right? They put the gates across, right, on Labor Day. That was it. We'll see you again, right, after Memorial Day. We are now a full-time island, right? We know all of the challenges that the island have. We need the Steamship Authority to help us solve these challenges, right? The cost of housing, the cost of other things that we all face, right? As a community, we have to solve these as a community. So we are, I think, even more dependent on the steamship today than we were when I was growing up. For medical, for other things that we do, the steamship is the lifeline of what we do here in Oak Bluffs. I've got a prepared statement. I'll talk a little bit about it, but Jim told me I only have 2 minutes, so I won't hold you up more than that. But I want to welcome you to the beautiful town of Oak Bluffs. It's with great pleasure that we gather here today to celebrate the commissioning of the MV Aquinnah. It's a welcomed addition to the Steamship Authority's fleet. On behalf of Town of Oak Bluffs, I extend a warm OB welcome. We're proud to host this commissioning ceremony in Oak Bluffs, a town known for its rich history, vibrant, if not outspoken community, and a stunning natural beauty. The addition of the Aquinnah to the Steamship Authority's fleet will strengthen our connection to the mainland through a crucial modernization of the fleet. On behalf of the Town of Oak Bluffs, we would like to take this opportunity to thank the Steamship Authority and all the dedicated individuals, both here and the ones behind the scenes that we don't necessarily have the chance to thank or see them on a daily basis, the ones that are what we'll call below decks. I'd also like to make sure that you understand that we thank you for the work you've done tirelessly to bring this project to fruition. Your hard work and collaboration have made this day possible, and we are deeply grateful for your efforts. As we celebrate the commissioning of the Martha's Vineyard Aquinnah, let us also look forward to the many journeys it will undertake, providing a lifeline by connecting our island to the mainland. Together, let us embark on a new chapter of island transportation, supporting Oak Bluffs and the entire Martha's Vineyard community. Thank you for coming.
Our next speaker was going to be John Mitchell, who is the mayor of New Bedford, which is one of our poor communities. Unfortunately, something came up at last minute, and he's unable to make it here today. But in his place, Gordon Carr, who's the Port Council representative to the New Bedford, would like to say a few words on the mayor's behalf. Gordon?
Thank you, Bob, and thanks everybody for allowing me to stand in for Mayor John Mitchell. He's been a long-time, strong supporter of the Steamship Authority and everything we do, and with Maura Tierney, the board member from New Bedford, we try to do everything we can to support the mission and the efforts of the Steamship Authority. I'm also the port director in New Bedford, so we do whatever we can to support the services that come here. I love these events. This is a great opportunity. As the mayor said 6 months ago at the Barnesville commissioning, always good to quote the boss when you're standing in for the boss, that these are vessels, but there's so much more than that. These are bridges. These are the commercial connections to the islands, and they serve that purpose, underpinning both the island life and the island economies. And the other thing that this shows, and then I'll stop, is I think this fleet is also a symbol of all of the work and the creativity of the Steamship Authority leadership, the board, the Port Council, and all of the staff to continue to find ways to provide the optimal service, particularly for freight and commerce and all that kind of thing to the islands. And we're 2/3 of the way there. I think it's a great opportunity and it's a great step. Again, we look forward in New Bedford to do whatever we can to continue to support that mission and the team here. So I look forward to finishing up the ceremony, and thanks for letting me be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Gordon. Next, I'd like to invite up to the podium Kathy Jensen, who's from Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority and is currently serving as interim director. The CCRTA has been one, if not the most important partner on this project. As we mentioned earlier, the talented staff at the direction of Tom Cahere, which included Kathy, Henry Swinarski, sorry. I always get his. And John Kennedy, who's in the audience as well, was instrumental in redesignating more than $28 million in federal funds to make the purchase and conversions of these vessels a reality. Kathy?
Short. Good morning. I am truly honored to be here for the commissioning of the MV Aquinnah. Back in December, I had the privilege of attending the commissioning of the MV Barnstable with our late administrator, Tom Kerr, who was my mentor, also a very good friend. As many of you know, Tom passed away suddenly this past March, and his presence is deeply missed by all of us. Over the years, Tom built a strong, meaningful partnership with Bob Davis and Mark Rosem. I want to thank both of you for your continued commitment and assure everyone here that this important partnership will absolutely continue moving forward. I also want to highlight how the CCRTA was able to provide $28.1 million in federal funding to support the steamship's essential vessel replacement program. That funding is the result of a collaboration that began back in 2017 when the RTA and the steamship worked together to get ferry service included in the FTA's National Transit Database. That move led to significant increases in federal funding, which we've been able to share with the Steamship Authority through a subrecipient agreement with the FTA. I'd also like to recognize Congressman Bill Keating, whose influence with the FTA helped make this possible and ensure these critical funding sources continue. Looking ahead, I'm excited for the continued collaboration between the Cape Cod RTA and the Steamship Authority as we work together to preserve and grow this vital source of federal funding for years to come. Thank you. I thought I'd keep it brief instead of read you 12 pages of federal funding minutia.
Thank you, Kathy. And we look forward to continuing the relationship. Next, I'd like to invite up, last but not least, Mark Amundsen. Mark, as our Chief Operating Officer, it is his third title in the short period of time that he's been with us. And I'm starting to suspect that he took the Chief Operating Officer's position to spend more time at home and less time in Alabama. Nothing against Alabama, but his family's here. He was down there to oversee the work, and I'd like to invite Mark up to the podium now.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this morning with you and taking a nice trip over on the Aquinnah. A lot of our key vendors are in the audience today, and I'll introduce them a little bit. But I would be remiss if I didn't quote a lyric thanking the people who have worked expertly and tirelessly on this project for the Aquinnah and the Barnstable. Nothing's going to stop us now as we work to complete our third vessel, the Monomoy, in the fall of 2025. So we look forward to getting that up here. My deepest appreciation goes to a lot of Steamship Authority, not only to the personnel, but to their wives as they spent tirelessly, many of them over a year down in Mobile, Alabama. It was a commitment, and there's a great camaraderie of this project coming together and seeing them part of the family of the Steamship Authority. So I'd just like to recognize the General Manager, Bob Davis, Treasurer Mark Rosem, Terrence Keneally, Captains Jim Corbett and Norman DeBarros, because both the captains, we did 2 conversions simultaneously, and also Chief Engineers Justin Bond and Sean Barkowski. And the talented engineering group led by the project manager Sven Cruz, and Will Langlois and Zach Lawrence, and our project engineer Liam Slane's here today. I'd also like to recognize the marketing group of Sean, Ian, and Sheila for putting this on today. In our indispensable vendors today, we have the very talented Alabama Shipyard. Lee Stokes is in attendance today, and without them, this is a very complex project to take a 24-foot mid-body out, bring it back in, and the two vessels turned out to be flawless. Also, our naval architect Boris Kurloff is in attendance, as well as Felix Krockkramer of Ships Machinery International, who did all the propulsion controls and the rudders. Special thanks to the board and the Port Authority members for supporting this project. But now I get the best honor of the day, and that's the Plank Owner Award. So a plank owner, the history of that is by the U.S. Navy. And during either a new building or major conversion, it's a piece of the wooden deck which is awarded to the plank owners. And in this case, we have two plank owners receiving the award today. And in this, just a description, we took a 24-foot mid-body out of the vessel, and in that we cut out 3/8-inch steel plates and engraved their names and plank owner history on there. So I'd like to ask Bob Davis to present the first award to Captain DeBarros. Norman, could you come up here, please? And next, I'd like to ask Justin Bond to come up here, please.
Well done, Justin.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure Norman and Justin's family is pleased that they're back. Before we hold the traditional champagne commissioning, a few housekeeping notes. The MV Aquinnah will be at the dock until 11:30 a.m. for self-guided tours. Any of the guests who will be returning to Woods Hole must be on the vessel at by 11:30, as we need to clear the dock for the arrival of the MV Barnstable. Anyone who's not riding back should be off the vessel by 11:30. I'd like to thank all the Steamship Authority employees who have worked tirelessly on this project, as well as to be able to provide the day-to-day service that they do. And all the partners and performers today for their hard work. I'd also like to thank all of our speakers for being with us. And if you haven't, please stop by the merchandise table to get a hat, a button, a custom poster to commemorate our special day, then enjoy the self-guided tour. I'd now like to ask Joan Malcolm, Jessica Mason, and Estelle Mason, the wife, daughter, and granddaughter of Board Chair Jim Malcolm, to make their way to the stern of the MV Aquinnah for the ceremonial commissioning of the vessel with a bottle of champagne. You're all invited to join us on the vessel's freight deck. Following the champagne ceremony, I will ask Sarah Sneed to sing God Bless America, which will mark the end of our ceremony. Thank you all for attending, and please join us on the freight deck for the champagne ceremony.
We commissioned the motor vessel Aquinnah. May God bless all who sail on her.